Hello and welcome back to Devi Daly Yoga. We're going to do a Yin Yoga practice for the whole body that's going to start with a little bit of Yang warm-ups for the upper body, but very gentle. Everything will be super slow today. And we'll go ahead and get started sitting on the heels in Seiza. And closing the eyes, letting the hands rest inside of the lap. If it feels good, you could turn the palms up and let the hands be inside one another. And taking the first minute or so to sit here in stillness and just feel what's happening inside your body and feel what's happening with your breath. And taking 3 more breaths here at your own pace. And gently letting the eyes open. And open your knees a little wider. This is really just for stability as we get into some neck rolling. So we want to feel like we have kind of a tripod between the feet and the knees. And we'll take the chin down to the chest. And roll your head around toward the left and back. And over to the other side, all the way around. And 2 more circles, nice and slow. Your hands could be on your legs, or you could drop your arms to your sides. One more time in this direction. And you guessed it, we're going to go the other way. Circling, feeling shoulders, neck. All this good stuff, scalenes, upper back. One more time around. And as the chin comes to the chest, just bring your head back up on top of your shoulders. And bring the knees back together. And as you let your eyes open, take the arms out to either side, palms facing up, finger fans. So for the finger fans, we'll take the pinkies in and then let the rest of the fingers follow, one at a time. Thumb comes last, bend the wrists, bend the elbows, and now this is kind of a strong move where we're squeezing the back of the heart here, kind of squeezing the back of the neck, upper back. Good, and now as you exhale, press it forward through your open palms. Good, palms face up now, same movement with the fingers, pinkies in and the rest of the fingers follow. Bend the wrists, bend the elbows, and now again we'll squeeze the back of the heart, the upper back is engaged as we now press the arms out. So this is about the strongest thing we'll do in this practice is this finger fans. We'll do a few more times. So pulling in pinkies first, thumbs last, bend the wrists, one joint at a time, and squeezing as we exhale, we'll press it forward. And turn the palms up, and pinkies first, thumbs last. So it's said that it's Yang Yoga for the upper body is more what the upper body likes, and that Yin Yoga is more what the lower body likes. So we're kind of going with that today as we do this Yang movement to begin, pulling in. Last time through this, we'll exhale and press it forward. And as we turn the palms up, pinkies first, thumbs last, squeezing it in. And exhaling and pressing it out. All right, now take both arms up, inhale. Take your left hand down to the ground to come into a side bend and tilt your head, and you can play around with your nose tilting toward the ground or up toward the sky. See what feels good, see what your upper body and neck are wanting today. Good, and now we'll bring it over to the other side. Both arms up and right hand down. And inhaling both arms up once more on each side. Bring it over into this side bend, feeling into the ribs, the side of the waist. And back over to the second side. Awesome. And coming back up, and what would feel good next, I think, is coming into some dragon poses. So let's take it into hands and knees and step the right leg forward. So you can do your yin dragon today as yin or as yang as you'd like, and I'm feeling a little more of a moving yin, not a strong yang lunge, but I'm just gonna allow my body to move as I like to do sometimes in yin poses. You could have both hands on the ground, you could do this elbow on the knee thing or hand on the knee and twist it. And we're just gonna take some time. We usually are holding these poses about 3 minutes on each side. You might enjoy the gecko variation coming down on the elbows or twisting from here. Finding this back bend, so warming up the back. This is a one-legged asymmetrical back bend. If you want to feel a little different way into the back bend, you could clasp your hands here on the front leg for more of a higher dragon pose, or even hands behind the back. And it's just all feeling so good to move through all these variations. So you could maybe be following my variations or just finding one that feels good for you and staying there. It might feel good to lift your arms up, even interlace the fingers or hold opposite elbows. Or hold opposite elbows behind the back. And perhaps coming into dragon tail if you like, holding on to the back foot. Right hand comes to the left foot for this variation. And lastly, you could take it down onto the elbows, maybe wing out this front knee if it feels good. Maybe even inch that foot forward a bit. And slowly coming up, let's take it back into downward facing dog or child's pose if you want to rest. Bending the knees one at a time. Walking the legs out, feeling the difference between the right leg, the right thigh, the left thigh after doing our dragons on the first side. Now we'll take it to the second side. So left leg forward and moving through some variations. Once again, maybe you have your own favorite variation or movements within this. So I do have a whole other video where we explore intentionally moving within yin, which of course is not how yin is normally done, but it's an exploration I really like to do sometimes, because there's not any hard science saying that the yin effect on the fascia doesn't happen if you move a little bit within the poses. So why not, right? Maybe you take your left hand to the knee, your elbow to the knee. Or climbing up, hands can clasp on the knee. Or come behind the back, interlacing fingers, opening the chest. And maybe rising up through the arms. And the main difference in the yin lunges compared to other lunges you might do in a fitness class or a more yang yoga class is that we are relaxing down through the hips rather than engaging the thighs. Let's take the right hand to the floor, and we can take it into this dragon tail if you like, or just stay right here and twist it, maybe letting this left hand come behind the back. And for the last little bit here, coming down onto the elbows. If that feels good, maybe letting the front knee wing out to the side. All right, coming back up, out of the pose, tuck the back toes, stepping back into downward dog. Bending the knees one at a time. And dropping it down into child's pose. Resting and breathing in child's pose. Feeling the right hip, feeling the left hip. And coming up and sitting with the soles of the feet together for butterfly pose, or as an option you could do wide legs in dragonfly pose. So this one doesn't feel good to everyone. For some people it feels great. Either pose, we're going for the inner thighs to stretch the inner thigh groin area, and maybe a cushion under your seat helps you to get that stretch. If you're coming into butterfly with me, you're maybe clasping around the toes or the ankles or having the hands out in front of you. And if you find this pose difficult, then do get a cushion or even two cushions or a block under your seat, and that could really help. Finding your breath, finding the stillness, or maybe moving around a little bit as we did in the last pose if that was feeling really good to you and you want to do more of that. So you may be feeling your stretch, your sensation in the inner thighs. You might be feeling it in the back, particularly the low back, the sacrum. Continuing to stay connected to your breath. And slowly coming back up, and now come all the way down onto your back to rest for about 1 minute. Any comfortable position on your back so you can feel the effects of the pose. Notice the energy that's moving through you. Notice where you feel anything like energy or heat or tingling, vibration, pressure, whatever it is. However, this energy, sometimes called chi, is manifesting in you, in this body. And bend your knees now, hug them into your chest, gently rock side to side. And rolling onto one side, make your way up to your belly for Sphinx pose or seal pose. And if you're experienced with yin and you'd rather take a different yin back bend, such as the saddle or something else, please feel free, the Golden Gate. Otherwise, we're going to be here in Sphinx. You could also use a bolster or some kind of cushion or block under your elbows if you want to be a little higher. Or you could come up to seal pose with the arms more straight, which is where I'm going to hang out today. But if you feel better being down on the elbows, please stay there. Your hands can be closer in or farther forward for seal. It's really whichever angle feels best on your lower back. And you can also experiment with your hands being wider or narrower. Sometimes it takes a bit of adjusting in the beginning to find the right angle. And your shoulders might like relaxing down away from your ears, or they might like staying up a little bit, which is fine. As long as you're getting this gentle sensation in the lower back, which is a compression sensation. We are gently and therapeutically compressing the discs of the lower back together, compressing the lumbar vertebrae against the sacrum, and stimulating energy in the fascia of this wonderful network in the lower back that's called the thoracolumbar fascia. It's this big diamond shape area of fascia that has so much to do with our mobility, our ability to be comfortable in this upright human form. Continuing to soften and breathe here, and especially bringing your attention and awareness of softening into the midsection, into the pelvis, into the sacrum, the buttocks. And there might be some engagement of your buttocks if that feels safer to you, or you can experiment with relaxing the buttock muscles, the glutes, and see if that feels good. And slowly releasing down. Rest your forehead on top of stacked hands and feel your lower back, feel your sacrum, maybe a little wiggle to the hips and the sacrum. And now lifting up to come up and back into child's pose. Press hands into the floor. Let's take a more active child's pose this time with the toes tucked under and the hands in front of you that in a way that they're kind of pressing you back towards your feet. So maybe you feel a nice opening in your feet here. You could be palms flat, or you might like the feeling of fingertips on the ground with the palms lifted. And coming up to hands and knees, step your right leg forward, and we're going to come into a half split pose for our hamstring stretch today. And this is kind of not a very commonly done yin pose, but it is a yin pose because we are allowing the weight of the body to come forward over the leg, and the target area that we want to stretch is the back of the right thigh, the hamstrings. Your hands could come up higher on top of blocks if you want to have less weight on your hands and wrists. Or if this doesn't work for you, you could take an alternative pose such as half butterfly if you're familiar with that. You might be on fingertips like me because I have sort of shorter arms, or you might be down on your palms. You can also play around with the angle of the hands and arms. Maybe they're farther forward, or maybe they're more directly under your shoulders. And lastly, since we're always playing with our angles in yin, you might angle your torso inside the leg a bit or directly over the leg. See what feels good. And breathing, softening, and relaxing into whatever shape you've found. Letting your head relax, letting your spine be soft and round here. That's part of the pose. And slowly bring it forward and changing to the other side. Take your time stepping back through hands and knees or through downward dog if you'd like. Left leg comes forward and shifting the hips back. So hands both on inside of the foot. I've actually never tried that. If you could experiment with that. Or hands on either side of the foot. Again, we're working with stretching the back of the left thigh. And please do pad under this back knee if you have any discomfort there. Put a folded blanket under it or double your mat up. I haven't heard a name for this pose except for half split. Has anyone ever heard a yin name for this pose? Or if not, let's make one up. Animal names are good. We kind of try and keep it to animals and insects. So wherever you find yourself and whatever animal shape you're imagining that you are embodying right now, soften into it. Relax your head, your shoulders, your spine, your neck. Something I tend to love doing in this pose is a little wiggle, or it's really a slow tail wag. Just finding those different sensations in the back of my leg by bringing my hips slightly to the left and then slightly to the right.
That's if everything goes fine.
And slowly releasing the pose. Tuck your back toes, step it back into downward dog, taking a few pumps of the legs here. And dropping the knees to child's pose to rest. And coming back up, let's take it into some outer hip stretching in your choice of square or shoelace. So the shoelace is right knee on top of left to begin, and your feet can be farther forward or farther back. See what feels good, or if this pose isn't a great one for you, alternatively you could do the square where the shins are more on top of each other. And in either variation, we come forward. You could also have both feet on the ground, and we're stretching into the glutes on the right side. So as you take your variation, you could choose to have some cushioning under your seat. And softening forward. Occasionally, a yogi prefers to do this family of poses staying upright. So if you find that you like it better there and you still get the glute stretch, then please feel free to stay upright. Everyone's bones are different underneath all of this flesh and muscle and fascia, and that's really the big determinant of what angles we prefer in our poses. It's not about us all trying to find the same angles or the same pose. It's about figuring out which pose or which variation of the pose works for this beautiful, unique skeletal figure. And slowly coming up and very slowly changing sides. Your version, variation, shoelace, square, both feet on the ground. Making your way into your preferred amount of forward leaning, forward bending, or not. Staying upright perhaps. If you come into this square pose and the knee of your top leg is elevated in the air, that's not a problem at all. It's fine to have some lift there, and as long as you're getting the stretch in the left glutes this time, then that means you're getting the point of the pose, that you're there, you've got it. And some people's knees are just always going to be popping up in these sorts of poses because of their underlying bone structure, which is not something that changes. So softening where you are, feeling and breathing into what you can feel stretching or opening or lengthening. And very slowly now coming up and taking both legs in front of you to transition onto your back, resting on the back for 1 minute. Palms can face up, or the palms can face down, or the hands could rest on your belly. Feeling the effects of the pose, maybe a lot of energy or sensation around your outer hips now, your glutes, down the outsides of your thighs even. Bending your knees now, hugging them into your chest, gently rocking side to side. And bring the legs back to center to lift your head up towards your knees, squeezing into a ball, maybe holding opposite elbows. And we're going to come up for a caterpillar pose, so you could roll gently to one side, or if you like, rolling forward and back and want to do something slightly more energetic, which is what I feel like doing right now. You can come up, and in any case, we're going to end up here in caterpillar. I'm going to do mine today with legs shoulder width apart. You could have your legs narrower or wider as you wish. Let's bring it forward. Maybe again a cushion comes under your seat. Hands can be on the ankles, the feet, the floor. And softening into your forward bend. You might feel the stretch anywhere along your back body, the back of the legs, hamstrings, lower back, middle back, upper back, or the back of the neck, or maybe all of it. Softening into this continuous mesh of fascia that makes up the back body. And slowly releasing, and now coming into final relaxation on the back. Make yourself comfortable. Add any extra clothes or an eye pillow or cushioning or a blanket to get fully cozy on your back. Hands can be on either side of you. You could choose to spread your arms and legs out nice and wide if you'd like, which is what I feel like doing today. Or you could rest your hands on your belly. And once you find the place that you want to be and rest, and settling in for a few minutes of deep calm as you just feel and be and sense the energy that's moving through you, sensing the rebound of this practice, the effect on your tissues, on your fascia, your muscles, your bones, your joints, and sensing into the effect on your energy, your energetic body, your emotional body. Breathing easily and resting completely. And you may wish to continue to rest here longer or to begin to transition out. Take a few deep breaths first and some gentle stretches of the arms and the legs. Maybe stretching the arms overhead, interlacing the fingers and pressing the palms away. And thank you so much for joining me for today's practice. I will see you next time. Namaste.